This is Entrepreneur Radio, maximizing your personal and business results by leading with your heart. With your host, Terri Levine. Listen every week as Terri tackles the topics that will help you become a successful heart-centered entrepreneur. Be sure to read the blog posts at www.heartrepreneur.com/blog. Come back often and add this show to your favorite RSS feed or subscribe in iTunes. You can also follow Terri on Twitter at MentorTerri and on Facebook.com/Heartrepreneur Terri Levine. And now here's Terri.
Welcome to Heartrepreneur Radio and TV show with Terri Levine. I'm your co-host, Velma Gallant, and I'm excited to be here today. You can connect with Terri, me, and other like-minded heart-based business owners in the Heartrepreneurs with Terri Levine Facebook group. So go check it out. And while you're at it, be sure to like our show, and we always love the 5-star reviews. So this week's quote is, "It's not how much money you make, but how much money you keep, how hard it works for you, and how many generations you keep it for." Robert Kiyosaki. So today's show topic is top 7 tax strategies for your CPA never told you about. So that really coincides with our quote about keeping your money. Our special guest today is Nadine Lajoie. She's been featured in Forbes, USA Today, ABC, Fox, CBS Money Watch. Nadine Lajoie has a bachelor in actuarial sciences and is a CPA, team-based model consultant, international speaker and coach, real estate investor, and #1 best-selling author. She has worked in the finance industry for 31 years, and she seeks new clients, businesses, employees to train and educate about the power of tax strategies. Through individual consultations, speaking engagements, radio and TV interviews, Nadine was featured in magazines along with Oprah, Ziglar, Donald Trump, and shared many stages, including Tedx and California Women's Conference with top speakers like Jamie Lee Curtis, Les Brown, Tom Hopkins, and more. Welcome to the show, Nadine.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me.
So I love the topic because it's one thing to make money, but we absolutely want to keep it, and we absolutely want to take care of our responsibilities as well. How did you end up in what you're doing now? Because you mentioned, we mentioned in your introduction about, what was the training?
The actuarial science.
Yeah. What is that?
Yeah, thank you. Life is always kind of coming around. It's always a vicious circle. I was always a math girl, finance girl, and all that, but I studied in actuarial science. So to become an actuary, they are the people who are doing the budgets for the government, the pension plans, the business employees, and all that. It's kind of at the back end that we studied finance, economy, how to program in computer, interest rate, mortality rate, morbidity rate. So it's really kind of a broad bachelor. It's one of the biggest bachelor to get. And I was proud to have that in 1992, but by that timing, that was recession 1991. So everybody lost their job. I got a job during the summer, but I had never been able to get into the actuarial business. Mm-hmm. So in 1995, finally, I decided to start my own business, become an entrepreneur. No boss for me was at least $30,000-$40,000. Mm-hmm. And that's where I started in the finance business, and in and out, for different areas of the finance business. I am there since 1989, so 31 years.
Wow. So it sounds like it, even though you started out in the real guts of finance, it's been a natural transition to move into what you're doing, and then bringing in the coaching aspect of it, and really helping people to understand. I'm going to guess it's not as scary as we make it out to be.
No, it's not. And today I want to share 3 different things. We'll talk about We'll touch a little bit about the top 7 strategy that your CPA never told you, but we will also touch about entrepreneurship and also about champion mindset, because I know you have a lot of entrepreneurs, and you know, like every goals that you have in your dream in your life, maybe not happening the way you want it or at the time that you want. But again, the life is kind of a vicious circle, and kind of come back. And after being in real estate finance, business coach, #1 best-selling author when I came here in the US, fight with immigration for 13 years, and this and that. And that's why finance is always at the core of every business, because if you don't have money, you stress out. And if you don't have enough money at the end of the month, you might have problems with your family, your business. And people, unfortunately, don't give enough time and thought about finance. It's hard to sit down with our clients 1 hour a year or 2 hours a year. We don't ask that much. But a lot of people, they never look at their finance for the last 10 or 20 years, and they arrive at retirement. Only 11% of the people has a decent retirement. Can you believe that?
Wow.
It's unbelievable.
Well, I suppose it can be kind of scary, right? When I went to school, I loved math. I absolutely loved math. And the irony of it is that I hardly deal with it now. But at the same time, what I learned at the time, thanks to that, is math is not that scary. It's really linear. And so you've got a whole other spectrum of people who are like super creative and love language and all of those other aspects of knowledge. And they look at math and go, oh, that's so scary. I don't even want to look at it. I'm going to look at what I'm really good at.
Yeah.
And I think we miss a really important part.
And it's a little bit like the doctors, right? You don't need to know everything about medicine. You just go consult a right doctor for whatever you need. And this is the same thing in finance. Every one of the CPAs, attorneys, accountants, tax specialists, financial planning people, that's why we work into a CPA team-based model, because we have 45 different tax experts, strategists to help people. And why I kind of fell into the soup, as I say, like in my third years in finance business in Montreal. I was a financial planner for 21 years, top 10% in Canada in my business for 11 years. In my third years, I got a multi-millionaire client. I served his wife for 3 years and a half. She had only $100,000 with me, so that was only $400 commission a year. So that was not a big deal, but he always told me, you'd give so much service to her. Now all my brokers, they have $2-3 million each, and they don't give me that kind of service. And again, this is about entrepreneurship, right? If you give your heart, if you give everything, if you're honest, if you are helping your client and you're serving your client, not thinking about the commission, something bigger will happen. And it's kind of always my motto. So finally, this guy said, okay, I'm giving you $1 million. Come back in 2 weeks and give me your presentation. So I presented him one of my favorite strategies, the tax-free retirement account. We were able to create a $10 million tax shelter for $1 million of his money. At retirement, he will get also an extra 39% tax-free retirement account. How cool is that? So I presented a one-page Excel spreadsheet, and he said, I love it. Present that to my CPA, my attorney, my business broker, my business partner, my wife, my son. So I had to kind of convince everybody. And after the meeting, the CPA and the attorney, they said, hey, we have clients for you. So now I kind of fell into a multi-million-dollar clientele, not necessarily knowing exactly what I was doing, but I had the team behind me. And in entrepreneurship, the more team you have, it's not all you know, it's who you know. who you can partner with. And right now we are partnering with CPAs, attorneys, business brokers, realtors, and all that, because everybody has their clientele and everybody is tired of paying too much taxes. Don't you agree?
I totally agree. And I love what you said about it's who you know, because that's a kind of a different twist on who you know. Because when most people think about who you know, it's, you have to know but somebody who's, up there in order to be able to get your opportunity. But I think what I heard from you is who you know is your team behind you that propels you forward. And I also heard a lot about what you give, and you gave a lot to that particular person. You gave a high level of service, and that comes back to you, maybe not in the way you expect, but it absolutely comes back to you. So I love what you shared in your story.
Yeah, and I think that is where the people can be more successful. And in business, when you have challenges, business doesn't go that well, you are kind of running out of cash flow or whatever. Just think, because I'm also a business coach, so of course, like business and taxes, I think for me goes together because it's in me since 31 years. But I know for a lot of people, they don't realize how much they can help other people. And once you focus on that, maybe the business is kind of growing again. And and of course, the more strategy you have in your pocket, the more tools as an entrepreneur, branding, marketing, website, business cards, everything counts. Every single thing counts. And of course, at the end of the year, if you pay 50% taxes compared to 15% taxes, this is a big difference in your bottom line. And that's what we want to help our clients on that.
I like the idea of 15% versus 50%. That makes sense to me.
Yes. Yes. And then let me share with you maybe one strategy that people will love about saving capital gains, right? A lot of people arrive at the end of the year or at the beginning of the year, they are selling a house, a rental, or a business. They make a huge capital gain. Right. So now, if that is at retirement, that will affect their Social Security, their Medicare premium. So everything is affected because now you kind of have a huge amount of taxes that year.
Right.
So let's give you an example. Somebody's selling a rental. One of my clients a few months ago, $1 million rental. Here in California, it's pretty easy to get. Other places, maybe it's $500,000 or $1 million, but let's say 1 million. A lot of people have $500,000 capital gain because they inherited that from their family, or they bought it like 20 years ago, the appreciation and all that. So let's say $500,000 capital gain, 40% usually in California with the California taxes and the IRS taxes, it's about $200,000 in taxes, right? So that client, when he came to us, one of our strategy, you can keep 93.5% in your pocket. You get the money within 7 to 14 days. It's a little bit like a 1031 exchange where you can save 100% of the money, but the 1031 exchange, you need to respect the 45-day rule, the 180-day rule. So a lot of people, especially when the real estate market is high, and the fix and flippers, it's really hard to do the 1031 exchange. But for that strategy, the client paid only $65,000 to establish the strategy and the structure and everything, instead of paying $200,000. So which one do you prefer?
Who do you want on your team? That again, even the basic math that somebody can do, can see the logic in that. And I can see the logic in having someone on my team that has an excellent understanding of the different tax strategies and that kind of thing. So how do we connect to the right person to support us with that?
Of course, we have 45 different tax experts helping us. I'm working with different CPAs, so we can do regular taxes at $200, or we can do advanced taxes at $5,000-$10,000 per taxes. So NadineLajoie.com is my website. And you have also a free tax questionnaire. We call that a CIQ, the Client Information Questionnaire. And it's free on my website. Mm-hmm. And out of the 45 strategy, it takes about 5 or 6 minutes to complete. And the people can know, oh, is it 2-3 strategy that applies to me, or 6, 7, 8, 9, 10? I think so far I got clients who got about 12 different strategies. Of course, nobody can qualify for 45. But all that is because the problem is people don't know that exists. First of all, because 92% of the CPA, they admitted into a board accountancy survey that they are not equipped to do advanced tax strategy and being proactive and having a holistic approach, because there are too many clients. The United States have about 700 clients per CPA. The CPA at 500, they are maxed out.
Right.
So we have a short of about 200 CPAs, 200 people, a client per CPA. Right. So that's why most people, they ask me, why my CPA never talk about it? It's because the CPA is not an expert in advanced tax strategy, because they don't have time. They are just there to clean up your mess and to clean up the bookkeeping that people are bringing in a shoebox, right? Or they are there to kind of try to avoid the taxes because you already did the transaction. So that's why in my way, it's looking forward and looking, hey, how can we save taxes in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years at retirement? I'm also a national social security advisor. We are about $2,000 2,000 people in the US, in the entire US, who is planning their social security maximization for retirement. Barely nobody. And this is your biggest asset, this and your house. These are the two major assets for most people, and nobody plans about it.
Well, I think we forget that that we can have a forward-thinking strategy in it. Everybody thinks that, earning the money first, and then when they're faced with the tax man, then they deal with it. And it's kind of hard to really have an excellent strategy when you're already in conversation with the tax man. Whereas if you have the strategy when you're earning, this is what I'm hearing from you, when you have the strategy when you're earning, you actually have a better opportunity of retaining more of your money. So like Robert said, keeping more of it.
Yeah. And the reason that all happened to me is because when I came here in the US, it took me like 13 years, 3 immigration visa, 2 extension. And after 3 years, there is a rule that's called a substantial presence test. And you cannot believe me, but it happened. 9 accountants between Canada, US made mistakes in my 9 years of tax return.
Oh no.
3 weeks before my wedding at that time, I got 2 penalties, $10,000 in the mail 3 weeks before my wedding. So my ex-husband thought that I was trying to fraud the government. And I know I pay my taxes in Canada. I pay my taxes in the US. I told my accountants, hey, I have assets and money in Canada and in the US. We need to be sure everything is completed. I paid professional every single year. Mm-hmm. And those professionals are not responsible or liable for anything. So the government, when they send you those letters, you need to file. Of course, everybody disappeared on me, right? And I filed between 2014 and 2018. It took me 4 years. David against Goliath. Nadine filed the IRS 2 civil penalties for 2 of my companies. And it took me 4 years with 2 appeals to win against the government. Why? Because I was crying. I was having nightmares. And for 8 weeks, I read the tax code 80 hours a week. You can sit me in a room with 100 CPAs, and I can guarantee you on the international filing requirement, I know probably more than 90% of them. And because it happened to me, and I was so pissed, because if there is somebody honest, that's me. And I know I paid people, I paid professional, and I got so stressed out because people don't care. People don't respect their commitment. And as a business coach, international business coach, I said, I don't want any single small business owner, small, medium businesses to be stuck in a mess like that. Mm-hmm. And that's why I decided, with my financial background, to kind of branch out and partner up with those CPAs and those attorneys, like I did in Canada. Remember, like my $10 million client, right. The CPAs and the attorneys started to refer me people. And I kind of fell into the soup, and I didn't really know center of influence and partnership and all that. And now, consciously, more than at that time, I'm able to help so many more clients to save taxes, to reduce expenses, and to mitigate risk. Because most people, when one passes away, or when the family passes away, the business kind of just drops. 70% of the people, they don't pass the second generation. Right. How is that? Right? Why is that? We have so many business owner entrepreneurs, over 70%, and it's not normal that people are losing their business because they are not well equipped financially.
I heard so much amazing stuff in what you shared there, both from a tax perspective and from a life perspective. How one was how your event, I'll call it an event, how your event guided you into something where you have an opportunity to really serve people. Because I'm really hearing your servant's heart in this. It was obvious when you were younger and in Canada, the way you helped people in order to move them forward and really be of service to them. And I'm hearing it again, even through what you experienced in having been in a tough situation because of CPAs that you work with. It's like, how can I partner with these people so that they can serve their clients the way I needed to be served?
Yeah, exactly.
So
and
I think
then to go with your show, the heartpreneur, right? It's all about the heart. If you are honest, like to the core, like honest at 100% with every single rule, you did everything right. Mm-hmm. You have nothing to worry about. Of course, you worry about when you are there, but I always knew I will get out of that situation because I knew I was honest. And in business, if you want to grow your business, if you build those relationships with your clients, with your business partners, and with your team, that's where that champion mindset again come back. Because you don't surround yourself with people who are losers. You are surrounding yourself with people who are champions. Mm-hmm. And talking about championship, many people probably already know, I'm kind of the motorcycle racer, right? I switched my championship motorcycle racing for a world championship in the yacht racing. And before I was in piano, and before I was in volleyball and my business. So once you have that champion mindset, which is focus, adrenaline, discipline, practice, and coaching. When you have those 5 for one thing, after that, it's easier to duplicate. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly why I'm doing this right now about the top 7 strategy out of the 45, because a lot of people cannot qualify for the 45, but they can qualify for at least 3, 4, or 5 of them. And the safe money growth and saving capital gains and how to avoid the full taxation of pretty much everything. There are almost a strategy for everything, to save taxes and to save capital gain and to reduce expenses.
So I want to make sure that our listeners have an opportunity to connect to you. Because what I'm hearing is there's an opportunity to learn more about the tax strategies. There's an opportunity to learn more about the champion mindset. There's a lot that our listeners have an opportunity to benefit from connecting with you. So what is the best place for our listeners to connect to you at?
The best place to connect is Nadine Lajoie, L-A-J like Jack, O-I-E.com. And if you cannot find me or if you cannot spell, just Google Nadine Racing. You'll find me. Trust me.
Perfect. Whatever keeps it simple for us to be able to connect is absolutely awesome. So we touched on one of the strategies.
We touched a little bit on two, like avoid the capital gain, the tax-free retirement account. Let me talk to you about the safe money growth. A lot of people are afraid when the stock market crash and all that. And you know that the S&P 500 made average about 8.6% over a bull market is about 11 years. The problem is when the market crash, most of the people, they take out their money. So most of the people, they make only a 2 or 3% average in the stock market, even if the index made like 8.6%. Mm-hmm. So what the rich are doing, and I'm lucky that I kind of fell into that multi-millionaire dollar clientele, because that's where I learned a lot of tricks, that a lot of products are developed for the rich people. That's why the rich get richer and the poor get poorer, because they don't know. They don't know about it.
Right.
So the safe money growth, it's another one, because when the market goes up, you go up. When the market goes down, you never go down anymore. So now you have the best of the two. You're still having decent return between 5-9%. Some years we make 15. Some years we make 0, because when the market crash, you don't crash. So there is no fees, no entry fees, no management fees. And everything is flexible. You can get 5-10% of your money for free every year. If you pass away, you got a bonus, 20%. So the safe money growth is another amazing strategy. 10 years ago, 20 years ago, that was not available for the middle class. And even in Canada, when I tried to get the product we have here in the US, last year, it would have taken me $1 million to get the same kind of product in Canada. So in US, we are way ahead of a lot of countries, and we need to only $5,000 or $10,000 or $100 a month. So it's accessible now to the medium class and even a little less than the medium class. So it's another one that people really love.
Excellent. Yes, that is amazing. So how did you get into, I'm going to deviate a little bit, because I want to make sure that we're tapping into your knowledge about the champion mindset, because I think the two of those together, being aware of your tax strategy, making sure you've got the right team behind you, and your championship mindset, I think are super valuable. So how did you get into racing?
Good question. I wanted a bike when I was 16 years old. I dropped the bike the first day. My dad said, no, you're not getting it. So at 31 years old, after my 5th knee injury in the volleyball championship, and I finished 9th in the Canadian volleyball championship. I played against 5 Olympians. So I'm like, the volleyball saved my life, and the piano saved my life when I was depressed and I wanted to commit suicide at 25 years old and all that. And I said, I need something else. So I started motorcycle racing in a women's class. I started at the last race of the year. I didn't practice all year. I started like 11, qualified 8, finished 3rd in the podium. I said, oh yeah, here is my adrenaline again. And after that, I started to race against the guys, and I finished 3rd at Daytona against 75 guys and won a championship. And then my biggest story is at Daytona, of course. I woke up that morning all excited. That was the first time since 1982 or 1984 that a woman qualified for the Daytona bike week for that class. And that morning it was raining, not raining. So I had to decide between my wet tire or dry tires. And finally, I stopped that little negative hamster. Hey, don't be afraid to crash. And if something happened, like that negative voice. And I breathe, and I started to dance with my bike, dance in the rain. Just get out of your comfort zone. Just put your knee on the ground. Just smile in your helmet. Just breathe in your helmet. In the last 2-3 corners, somebody passed me because I had my little thought again. Oh, don't crash. Now it's the end of the race. And somebody passed me, and I finished third at Daytona. So the big story of that is, if you don't go full throttle all the time, on the edge, somebody will pass you. Somebody will beat you. The competition will make your business going down. Whatever you need to do to prepare, you have to do it.
Awesome. And I love how you're including adrenaline in business, because I mean, when I think of adrenaline, I think of those adrenaline junkies who are doing like the what are those like body kite things. Right? That to me is what I think of when I think of adrenaline, but it's that excitement and that jazz in whatever it is that you're looking at.
Yeah. And I just want to share a little thing about the leadership. I decided long ago never to walk in anyone's shadow. If I fail, if I succeed, at least I live as I believe. No matter what they take from me, they can't take away my dignity. Because the greatest love of all inside of me. So if you want to be in business, you need to be a leader, and you need to surround yourself with the right team.
Perfect. I think that is the most amazing way to close us off this interview. Nadine, this was absolutely fantastic. I loved every little bit of what we talked about having a quality team behind you, having an excellent tax strategy, remembering what it is that jazzes you and going for it and having that champion mindset. There was so much juicy information in here, and I so appreciate your time with us here.
Thank you so much.
And to the listeners, I hope you loved this as much as I did. Make sure you head over to Heartrepreneurs with Terri Levine at Facebook and join us there. You can connect with a lot of heart-based business owners there, and there's a lot of excellent training there for you as well. And be sure to like this show and give us your 5-star review, and I look forward to seeing you again next week.
You've been listening to Heartrepreneur Radio, maximizing your personal and business results by leading with your heart, with your host, Terri Levine. This show is produced every week for your enjoyment and education. To make sure you never miss a single show, add us to your favorite RSS feed or subscribe in iTunes. You can also read Terri's latest blog posts at www.heartrepreneur.com/blog, or follow Terri on Twitter at MentorTerri, and on Facebook.com/Heartrepreneur Terri Levine. Your questions and comments are always welcome and appreciated. Send them to Terri on either Facebook or Twitter. Thank you for listening.